Yeah, this segment is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys. All right, boys. I'm going to throw back to Kyle. Kyle loves reading the YouTube comments, and he always brings you back the comment of the day from YouTube. Shouts to my boy Alf, excuse me. The Alf, the alien.
The alien.
Josh, if you're on the show, I need an I don't know Jim to start the show. Well, it's the second segment, so I'll just give you one real quick. I don't know Jim. Tommy does a really good one, too.
I don't know Jim.
Tommy does an excellent I don't know
I think my favorite, that's like up there with the great like Tony Romo CBS Sports moments, but I think my favorite moment was I think he was calling either when Tyreek Hill's either with the Chiefs or the Dolphins, and he got the telestrator out, and he's like, then Tyreek Hill's going to do this. He drew like this giant loop. It was hilarious.
I love it.
Touchdown, and he finishes like touchdown.
Shouts to my boy Tony Romo. Good friend of mine. I don't know.
Good friend of the program.
Also, real quick, shout out to Wrestling with the Bros. I'm always going to shout out my fellow wrestling aficionados. Shout out to my guy, man. All Cowboys fans who are also big wrestling fans, whether it be WWE, AEW, TNA, whatever the case may be, we love you.
R.I.P. to the Hulkster. Not the other guy. All right, boys. One offensive player, one defensive player that stood out the most in week 1. All right? I need you guys to give me just one apiece. Tommy, you want to go first?
Well, defense is easy. Donovan Ezeiruaku.
Okay.
Defense is
don't take
easy.
my pick.
Well, the defense is pulled.
Did you do that on purpose?
Yeah.
Or did I just help
guess.
you?
No,
It's
you
a bar
did.
either way.
You did help.
It's a bar either way.
Actually, exactly what I was going for. No, defense is easy, and Donovan is making it look very easy. See, that was even better. But this guy's. When we were talking about him on the draft show, I think a point that we made a lot of times was, hey, this is a guy who is one of, if not the more pro-ready guys coming out of the draft, right? This is a guy who led the ACC in sacks last year. He won the award for the best college football defensive end last year, and he was just dominant at Boston College. And I think yesterday was the day. His second practice was really good, but yesterday was a day where, when I was doing training camp live with Mickey or just standing on the sideline on the back of the end zone, I'm like, man, he is beating everybody. I mean, his first step is unbelievable. He's got great bend. The bend is something that we talked about all the time with him, where he can just blow past you and he can use his arms really well to just make the right move and beat the tackle. And, Tyler Guyton's a guy who has had some good reps, but, man, Donovan Ezeiruaku had him beat bad a couple of times out there. And so, as we've talked about a lot, the defensive end room, like, this is one of the more deep rooms that the Cowboys have on this roster.
Deep.
There you go. If Donovan Ezeiruaku
I'll allow it.
turns out to be the second best defensive end on this team behind Micah Parsons, the Cowboys are going to be set there for years to come, because I think this kid's the real deal. He's going to be a really good football player for a really long time, and he's just starting to show the flashes here early of what he can be.
Patrick, before you give your defensive, give me a little bit more about Easy. What you're saying?
It's funny you say that, because that's also my biggest defensive
I feel like there have been guys who have had good days, but Ezeiruaku the last 2 practices just blows you away.
It should be a consensus right now, and everything Tommy said, and let me add to this. He's already, and I tweeted this, as a rookie, no exaggeration, no hyperbole, as a rookie coming into the league, he's easily one of the best, one of the best technicians at his pass rush that I've seen, and not just as a rookie, not just so technically sound in 1 or 2 moves. He has the array of pass rush moves and the ability. And Schottenheimer said this to me yesterday or the day before when I asked him about Easy. He said he has the ability to set the edge as well, which we're seeing as far as run defense on the edge goes. But when you talk about the dip, the bend, the first step is absolute insanity. His first step is instantly comparable to 2 players in this defensive end room, Micah Parsons and Sam Williams.
Insane.
And that is an insane compliment for a rookie who did not play at a huge program, but by the way, he's a record setter at his program in Boston College. You see everything you need to see from this guy and more, that not only justifies him being a second-round pick, but you start to wonder why he fell out of the first round.
But to that point, though, when you're choosing a defensive end, one of the most important positions in our game, but when you're choosing one in the second round, you're typically drafting a guy that has a move, maybe two. Traits,
all the
possibilities, high ceilings. What this guy is showing you out here is that he looks like he has sort of all of those things combined into one package. For a second round defensive end of his caliber to be picked that late in the second round, it's impressive.
I'm going to use a line from my good friend Vach Lombardi. Teams don't know how to draft. Teams don't know how to draft. And so, when we look back at this draft 3 years down the line or 5 years down the line or something, you're going to look at guys ahead of Donovan Ezeiruaku if he, continue. Obviously, we don't know what kind of career he's going to have, but I could very well see a scenario where it's like, how on earth did you think this guy was going to be better than Ezeiruaku? And, it just goes back to when I talked to Bill O'Brien about this kid earlier in the offseason after the Cowboys drafted him. He's a little bit undersized. He's not necessarily the tallest guy at defensive end. He's not necessarily the stockiest guy, but he's just so technically sound. And that's what Bill O'Brien, who has seen some very good defensive ends in his day, namely a guy like J.J. Watt, when he was with the Houston Texans.
Kind of good at what he did.
I think so. He's going to be a Hall of Famer or something.
He's a little better.
But, this is a guy who just finds a way to get into the backfield. And it's a guy who's, he's the first person that Bill O'Brien met when he took the job at Boston College. This is a guy who loves football, and he loves being a leader on his team. So it wouldn't shock me at all if this guy is a centerpiece for the Cowboys defense going forward.
And I'll say this one final, in closing on Ezeiruaku, is his ability coming in, and it's early, we'll see what his trajectory continues to look like, but my God, is he off to a fast start. But what it does is, we're sitting here talking about a rookie after day 2 being the biggest defensive standout in a defensive end room. Granted, Micah Parsons not on the field right now, but by the way, Dante Fowler's out there,
and Dante Fowler's on a revenge tour,
and Dante Fowler looks fantastic. And we're still talking about Ezeiruaku, a rookie. So Ezeiruaku doing what he's doing, it's going to push Dante Fowler even more so than Dante's already being pushed on his revenge tour coming off a career season. Sam Williams has more than enough motivation to get out there already, having missed all of last season with a torn ACL. Talked to Sam yesterday, and he said with a smile, when the pads get on, he was like, I'm going to try to kill somebody at least once. He was like,
he already has.
Yeah, he said, I want everybody to be safe. This is his quote. He said, I want everybody to be safe, but at least once I'm going to try to kill somebody.
He killed Tyler Neville on the first day.
He did. So point being, when you see this level of ability within this defensive end room, including Ezeiruaku, this level of competition where they're looking at each other saying, anything you can do, I can do better. And let's not forget Marshawn Nealon, first camp interception. And he's also going to look to challenge as well. He's still my dark horse as far as potential breakout player in camp. This defensive end room, we talk about the concerns, rightfully so, about defensive tackle. Defensive end, I have no concerns. It's very exciting.
Okay, I'm going to change it up a little bit. Obviously, Easy is the standout on defense, and especially for a rookie at this point. I want to be a little different, and I want to look at one Maris Leofau. Boys, he's flying out here.
He is.
He's flying. He looks lean. He looks so fast. From his interview now on DallasCowboys.com, he was saying that the game is sort of slowing down for him. The way I've seen him diagnosing defenses so far is not typical in the way that you would see a second-year player now learning a brand new defensive scheme. I'm surprised to see that sort of jump from him so far, having to learn a new defensive scheme. So I really do want to give a quick shout out to Maris Leofau.
Absolutely.
But what are you guys seeing on the field? You guys are definitely on there a lot more than I am, so I kind of want your emphasis on this.
Yeah, no, Maris Leofau is a guy who, towards the end of the year last year got more opportunities and kind of made the most of them. This is a guy who is better as a blitzer than I think people give him credit for, but it's a super smart player. Like he had all the smarts coming out of Notre Dame, and he was a 5-year player, I think, at Notre Dame. So this is a guy who's played a lot of football. He's played it at a high level and who knows the game really well. And that's what this coaching staff has always been very complimentary about him with. And, he's got a coach in Matt Eberflus that kind of has the Midas touch when it comes to linebackers, right? This guy
Absolutely.
has a very strong track record of producing high-end linebackers. I mean, you just look back at Chicago, Tremaine Edmonds, and of course, I'm blanking on the other guy's name. I can literally see his number, but beg your pardon. But this is a guy who knows linebackers, who knows the position really well, and he has a past history of making sure that these guys play well in his system, but also making sure these guys know the position really well and can be leaders on the defense. So whether that's Maris Leofau, who in his rookie season was the backup green dot to Eric Kendricks, which I think says a lot about his football acumen and his knowledge of the defense already. Obviously, transitioning to a new system may change things, but this is a guy that the Cowboys are looking to hopefully continue to take the next steps and continue to get down so that he can get some more playing time.
And to Tommy's point, as far as Maris being getting tutored and taught and coached by Matt Eberflus. When Eberflus was here in his first stint with the Cowboys as linebackers coach, yeah, he had an insane talent in Sean Lee. Unfortunately, 50 couldn't stay healthy. However, the talent was there. You saw what Sean Lee was able to do when healthy. But then he coached up guys like Anthony Hitchens to getting big free agency deals, right? Being effective at what they were doing. So this is the type of coach that Marist is combining his ability with, and the ability is through the roof, because even coming out of Notre Dame, what was one of the biggest positives for him? It was football acumen. It was his ability to read, diagnose, and absorb entire playbooks. And it's showing now because the game is slowing down for Marist. And it looks like on several fronts during a rep here or there that he knows the play before the offense knows the play, because he's there at the spot by the time the ball carrier gets to the spot, whether it be a handoff or whether it be an outlet pass to the left or right of center. So Marist is poised, especially with the absence of Overshown for a large chunk of the season, maybe half the season. I don't know. The way he was running yesterday, we'll see. But a lot is going to be put upon Maris Leofau. A lot was put upon him last year, and what did he do? He stepped up, like Tommy said, and became the green dot behind Eric Kendricks, going Eric